Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right, welcome in. Today, we're going to be talking about whether or not you're stuck in the information gathering stage, or maybe you're just not quite certain where to start, how to take action. With kind of the change in technology, or I should say the advancement in technology, we don't have a lack of information, right? We can pretty much find whatever we want online, right? Even if you like a simple math skill or something, you can learn, you can watch YouTube videos, you can access free courses, and you could pretty much teach yourself a lot of these things, right, for free. And which is really cool because for me personally, for me and my family, we're homeschooling our kids. And so right now, like my wife and I both have education backgrounds, and so we feel pretty confident in being able to kind of help them, prepare them and help, teach them the things that, we feel they should know, and just make sure, they're on the right path and things like that. But as they get older, like, I haven't taken a math class in years now, right? And so as they get older, that's probably something I'm going to need to re-educate myself on. Now, obviously, there's co-ops and things like that, which are definitely helpful, and they kind of get experience to other teachers as well. And we're involved in one, and it's been really great. And obviously, they're still young, and so as they get older, things will change too. But we can pretty much learn whatever we want, whenever we want, right? And that goes maybe double, triple for like nutrition, right? You can find tons of free resources online. You can learn about workouts, you can learn about specific diets and things like that. The problem is we have so much information that it almost becomes crippling, right? There are tons of people who I come across. I run a free Facebook group. We've got just under 650 members. I've got slowly growing. Actually, it's been growing pretty steadily recently. My email list, and so there's tons of dads on there. The podcast listeners, Facebook friends. I talk nutrition, I talk fitness, I talk all these different topics all the time. And so I come across people all the time. And very rarely do I ever come across somebody who says, I have no idea what to do. I have no idea where to start. Most people kind of come from a place where they feel like they know what they need to do, and for whatever reason, they're just unable to do it. Right. And so there can be lots of reasons for this. One, it could be a confidence issue. Two, it could be that they tried things in the past, kind of over-promised and under-delivered. Three, it could be that, they have a starting point, but they don't have really any action steps to kind of put it into place. But unfortunately, what happens the majority of the time is that we have so much information. You have so much information available to you that you really don't know where to start. Not because you don't have options, but because you're not sure which course is right for you. And I will be the first to admit, this is where I am in a lot of areas. Not when it comes to fitness and nutrition. Now, sometimes it can be, right? Especially when you're trying to switch things up. You get, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to try this, I want to try that. And then you can't make a decision, right? But in lots of areas of my life, I'm really big on, I love Audible books. I love reading. I do the majority of my book reading through Audible. I like listening to them because I can get through information a little quicker. I can listen to them when I'm going on a walk, or I'm in the car, or thinking when I'm driving by myself or something, or I'm working out. So it's an easy way for me to get information as opposed to reading. I do read every day, but sometimes it's just a few pages. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's a little longer, but it can sometimes be a little bit more challenging for me to, dedicate time to set aside time to read and things like that. But one thing that I really got caught up in is, when is enough enough? And so, like, for me, in my business, I'm coaching clients. I'm working one-on-one with people, but in order to get them into my business, like, I not only have to have a strong knowledge base, fitness and nutrition and exercise, all these things, right? Which I know I do. I have multiple degrees, multiple certifications. I've done continuing education now for years, and so, like, I am very confident in my ability to be able to help, train a client, help get a client to where they want to go. What the areas that especially when I came in, is that I wasn't great at sales, marketing. I still don't, I'm still not great at it. Email, all these things, social media. I'm trying to balance all these things and figure out what to focus on. And so for me, I really enjoy, learning new skills. And so, I will buy audiobooks, I'll buy actual books, I'll purchase courses and things like that. I'll invest in mentorships. And so, on one hand, that is really good, right? I'm proving to myself that this is important to me. I'm proving to myself that this is something that I'm willing to invest in order to get better. It not only helps me, but the better I am, the better my clients are, right? On the other hand, I always had this sense of, I'm not enough, or I'm not doing enough, or I could be doing more, right? And so, when it comes to, like, sales, I've taken sales training and stuff. And when it comes to sales, for me, I don't like tricking people. I don't like lying to people. I've been under the guidance, I will say, of certain professionals who I just do not align with. I do not want to lie to people. I do not want to, make up fake things. And so for me, I've kind of had to, I had to use different resources and things like that, where I can make sure that what I am saying, I fully believe in, because it's much easier. Like, I fully believe in the product I am selling. I fully believe in my coaching ability. But if I'm using tactics that I feel like are sleazy or just do not align with my values, then obviously that sale is going to be much harder. And then that person never comes in my ecosystem to begin with, and I'm never going to be able to convert them into an actual client where I can actually help them, right? And that's something, when I first started coaching, I didn't know anything about sales. So I was hopping on calls with people, and I actually I would sign people up quite a bit, because I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't trying any tactics or anything. And then when I actually got better at sales, when I had, what I learned from somebody else, I actually signed up less clients because I was trying these things and it didn't come across as natural for me. And so then I had to go back to it. But then you get caught in this cycle of, am I good enough? Am I doing better? Is the reason they didn't sign up is because something I said, something, you know what I mean? And so there's lots of different things there. And so I get into that cycle, right? And that's probably a similar cycle you get into maybe with nutrition, right? You learn about something, you feel like it's going well, and then all of a sudden you're not seeing progress, and you're like, well, do I need to try this? Do I need to try that? It's the same thing, right? And so the same thing goes for me, for like marketing, social media and stuff. It's like, if you follow the latest trends, like, they're always changing, and you're never going to win the game. The same thing goes for nutrition. If you're following the latest fads, if you're following the latest trends, then chances are you're not going to be seeing great results in any one area, because you're not giving it enough time, right? And so that's where kind of this information overload kind of comes in. When we have so much information, we're not sure which is the best path. And unfortunately, and this is probably not the answer you want to hear, but there may not be a best path. There may be a really good path, and there may be another really good path, and it really doesn't matter which one you take. What matters is that once you take one, you commit to it, and you implement what you're learning, and then hopefully, maybe after you start to see results, you're able to teach somebody else. We can solidify that knowledge, right? If you're just constantly listening to audiobooks, if you're constantly reading new nutrition articles, but you're not doing anything about it, you're not implementing it, right? If you're just listening to things, you're only going to retain so much. If you're listening and reading, you're going to be able to retain a little bit more. If you're watching and applying, you're obviously going to retain a little bit more. And then if we can actually, make this a part of who you are and you're helping teach other people this, now it becomes solidified. Now it becomes who you are, right? And so this is what happens a lot of times when it comes to books, when it comes to articles, when it comes to podcasts, when it comes to Audible books. We get so much information, we're not actually applying any of it. And then we get frustrated because we feel like, well, this next book is going to help me get to where I want to go. This next article is going to help me figure out the key on nutrition, right? When really it comes down to figuring out what works, what's the, tried, tested methods that have worked for years, that have worked for decades, that have worked for even longer than that for people, and how can I fit it into my life? And that's what I do with my coaching. I don't teach now there are some different ways I teach things that may be different than what other coaches teach, the wording and things like that and how we apply them. But what I kind of pride myself on is making it customized to you, right? You're a dad, you've got a lot going on, you've got kids. I'm not going to ask you to do the same thing I ask some of the high school athletes I work with to do, right? And so the clients I train in person, I have a wide variety. I live in a college town, I live in a military town, so people come and go, which is really cool because not that they go, but it was really cool because you get, when I first started training and to now, I've gotten tons of experience with different populations. So I've worked with military personnel, I've worked with surgeons, I've worked with, just desk job professionals, I've worked with high school athletes, and so all sorts of college kids, all sorts of just backgrounds, and it's been a really great experience. But what that's helped me learn is that there are no two people alike, right? There are similarities between people, but what individuals need are completely different, right? And so I think this has kind of made me kind of sometimes fall down the trap too of information overload, right? Is it do I need to learn something new, or do I need to apply something that I already know, right? And so instead of being caught in the information gathering stage, actually applying it. And I'll give you a real world example here. And so 2016 was the first year that I purchased an audiobook on Audible, and I bought 3 of them that year. The next year in 2017, I only bought 2 of them. I think both of those were for like grad school. I got some resources or something, and so I'd have to look back there. But then in 2018, I listened to 6 audiobooks. I purchased 6 audiobooks. 2019, I purchased 27. In 2020, I purchased 24. 2021, I purchased 22. 2022, I purchased 42. 2023, 39, and in 2024 already 42. And these numbers were from a week or 2 ago, so that I think I've had maybe a couple more since then, and we still have another month or so left in the year. So I'm setting a record this year on the amount of audiobooks that I'm listening to. And I say all of that, one, to kind of maybe help you see that, everybody, struggles with this a little bit, right? And you're not alone in this. But 2, that this is something that, I work with too, and it's super common. And like a lot of these are on like parenting. And my audiobook obsession, you could say, really kicked off in 2019, and that's when my son was born. And so I know I did a lot of like parenting books and leadership books, things like that, how to be best for my family and stuff. And so on one hand, like I said, we can look at this and be like, yeah, this is a really great thing to do, right? But purchasing 42 audiobooks in a year, which means I'm listening to roughly, a little over 1 or a little less than 1 a week, doesn't really give me a lot of time to apply, right? Doesn't give me a lot of time to apply things. And that doesn't count for the other one, that to a lot of these ones, a lot of books that I listen to is or read, I've listened to multiple times, right? And so that doesn't add up. This is just new purchases. This doesn't count for the books that I've read too. And because I'm usually reading, I try to read 1 book at a time, but I end up reading like 2 or 3 at a time, and that's not great either, because then I just stress myself out. And that, and I think as you're seeing here, like you may not struggle with this issue, in the exact same way I do, but there's a good chance that you're in the, kind of the information gathering stage in another area of your life. And for a lot of people, that is nutrition. That is nutrition. There are so many things to do. There are so many different ways you can go. There are so many people online telling you this is right, this is wrong, and nobody agrees. Nobody has the same philosophy, and I think that is okay. I think that is okay. What works for me might not necessarily work for you, and that's where kind of coaching comes in. Um, I have my client load right now. Like nobody's the same. Everybody lives different lives, right? So I don't ask one person to do what another person's doing just because it's doable for them, right? If your work schedule is different, if you and your wife's relationship dynamic is a little different, if your kids have different activities, I can't expect you to do something. So that's why I really like the one-on-one coaching. Some coaches really enjoy the group coaching aspect, and I really prefer kind of the one-on-one, being able to kind of build relationships with clients, figuring out what they actually need. And I started to kind of develop that philosophy a little bit more. I actually went to school, so I got an undergrad degree in kinesiology. I actually got my master's in education, but I was going to go to physical therapy school. I took all the classes, I took all the hours. I even got recommendation letters from. I did all the observation hours and got recommendation letters from uh, physical therapists, and I had everything I needed to. I think I needed to take like one more class, but then I had everything I needed to apply to physical therapy school. And I decided that that's not what I wanted to do. And that's kind of what led me down to personal training. I'd always been interested in it. And what I really love about personal training is how personal I can get it, right? If you've been listening to the show and kind of following along, maybe on social media, I had hip surgery in May. I'm having another one here, hopefully in about a month or so. And so I originally had my right hip. I injured it when I was 12 years old, and so it's been over 20 years now. Or I take that back, almost 20 years now. And so it's been a really long time here. I've had other injuries. I had a ulnar ligament injury playing. The ulnar nerve kind of had injury to it when I was playing baseball. Lots of things. And so I've been in and out of physical therapy offices pretty much, since I started competing in sports and stuff. And so what I love about physical therapy is like, one, like you're going to be, you're helping people get back, to where they want to be, do the things. And that's why I love personal training, right? Because I'm helping people do what they want to do. That's why I love coaching clients. That's why I love working with clients online, because ultimately, we're just trying to be the best dads that we can be. And what that looks like is, exercising regularly, practicing proper nutrition, getting sleep, and then just learning how to fit this all into your life. That's why I'm so passionate about working with dads. But what I do not like about physical therapy is that there's not a lot of customization to it, right? If you go to physical therapy, they create programs, which for most people, they are very well, but they do not always factor in the individual. And so somebody could kind of have a missing link based off their lifestyle, based off a previous injury that is affecting other things, and they're following the same protocol there. So that can be very difficult. So that's kind of why I leaned more towards the personal training side, because there are less restrictions as far as it comes to like insurance and things like that. And I'm still getting to help people. And more importantly, we get to prevent things, right? I get to work with clients, and I can see an issue like, hey, like your foot is hurting right now. And so let's customize this approach right now, because I had a client very recently who had plantar fasciitis surgery on their foot, and they came in one day and they were limping and their back was hurting. I said, well, I can tell you why your back's hurting. I said, look at your hips right now. And so we worked on that, and so we implemented some exercises to kind of help with their back, because the whole body works together, right? And so that's the real big thing that I think is important to know, is that your foot, the way your foot is working, is going to affect your knees, going to affect your hips, going to affect your back, going to affect your shoulders, and so the body works together. Unfortunately, with physical therapy, they had to get a whole new referral base out there, and because referral originally was for their foot, and then in order to get treated for their back, they had to get a whole other referral, and they were military, so the process was even longer there. And so that sometimes that can be really frustrating, right? So that's why with my coaching, I'm so passionate about just tailoring it to the individual, right? I'm not going to ask you to do something that you don't have access to, or that's not going to be serving you well, right? And trying to figure this out all on your own can be extremely difficult, right? If you go online, like I said, you can find all the information on your own, but what a coach is going to be able to do is they're going to be able to help you kind of implement this in a way that fits your life, right? And you don't have to work with a coach forever. That is one thing I try and make very clear with my clients. Like, this doesn't have to be forever. A lot of times people are kind of put off from the initial investment, but this is knowledge you're going to be able to learn the rest of your life. You're going to be able to implement. You're going to have the materials. You're going to have everything you've learned. You're going to be able to continue to build off it, right? You're going to be able to continue to, make progress and ultimately get to where you want to go. And so the information overload is something that can be crippling. It can be something that you kind of get stuck in that kind of information gathering stage. And that is something that I do not want for you. And so if you're looking for help, if you're looking for someone to kind of help push you over the edge to get to where you want to go, if you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to get in shape, have more energy for your family, to be able to play with your kids and do more of the things that you want to, then go ahead and send me a message. My email is in the show notes for the show. You can also find me on Instagram or on Facebook as well. I am doing a Black Friday deal where if you do sign up in the month of December, you get the entire month of December for free. And so if you're interested in kind of learning more kind of about what that would look like, go ahead and send me a message. It's no pressure. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to sell you something that you don't need, right? I will gladly just hop on a call with you, just if you're kind of in that, if you are in that information gathering stage, right? If you're looking for, if you're just looking for, just to see if maybe this is kind of what you're looking for. If not, I know tons of other coaches. I have tons of free resources I can direct to you as well. But getting stuck in the information gathering stage is something that I told you already. I struggle with when it comes to a lot of things, when it comes to being a better dad, right? When it comes to coaching, when it comes to, just getting better at certain skills, especially I bought a house 3.5 years ago, and I feel like I've been stuck in the information gathering stage there because there's so many different things to learn, to fix things, which sometimes can be overwhelming, right? But that's why we reach out for help. And so I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode today. If you could do me a favor, and if you could go ahead and leave a rating on the show, that way more they'll the Spotify, iTunes, all those platforms will start to kind of push this out a little bit more and kind of reach more people. And if you know anybody that would love to listen to the Father Fitness Podcast, I'd really appreciate if you sent it their way. That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.